Now looking at Unit 2 with states of matter and changes, we first started talking about the difference between substances and mixtures. Okay? Now substances is just a general term describing something that always has a distinct form, or you could always write a formula for it. So if it's an element on the periodic table, it's classified as a substance. If it's a combination of elements that are always in the exact same proportions, it's a compound. So sodium, that's an element, its symbol is always Na. Water, it's a compound, its formula is always H2O. Now mixtures are going to be combinations of both elements and compounds, but they always don't have the exact same proportions. Homogeneous mixtures look the same throughout. Heterogeneous mixtures look different. So a homogeneous mixture could be oil. Okay, there's many types of oil, but if you look at one bottle of olive oil, it looks the same throughout. So that would be a homogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous would be soil. Not all soil looks the same throughout. They all have slightly different compositions, so that would be an example of a heterogeneous mixture. Then we talked about ways to identify both chemical and physical changes and properties. Remember, intensive properties are just referring to describing that material. Extensive properties refer to something being measured. So mass or volume, that would be extensive properties. So if you were looking at water, if you said water was a liquid, that would be an intensive property, just describing the state. If you said there were 100 milliliters of water, that would be an extensive property, describing the exact amount. Also, we looked at indicators of a chemical change. We talked about there were 5 main indicators for a chemical change to occur: production of a gas, forming a precipitate, changing colors, energy being released, or an odor being released. Those were all good indicators of a chemical change. Remember, if you just change states from solid to liquid to gas, that would just be a physical change, because you still have the same substance. It's just those particles are spreading out. We also talked about the difference between solids, liquids, and gases. Remember, solids are just tightly packed particles that have definite shape and volume. So if you're just looking at a picture of a solid, it would, for the most part, be very organized, tightly packed together. Liquids, we would see those particles separating. Now you can measure the volume still of a liquid, but it takes the shape of its container. And then gases take both the shape and volume of a container. They're going to spread out a lot and occupy the entire space from which they are contained. So really, Unit 2, we talked about just some changes, whether chemical or physical, different properties, and then just the basic difference between substances and mixtures.